Hello again, and welcome to Career Success Strategies, Lesson 7, Part 2, Certificates of Relief and Good Conduct. Now, in this lesson, we are going to be learning about these two certificates. We are going to understand the benefits of these certificates as a form of rehabilitation, and we're going to determine your eligibility to potentially apply for a certificate. Let's begin. What are certificates of relief and certificates of good conduct? Well, we are going to watch this short clip from the Legal Action Center to explain.
Certificates of Relief and Good Conduct. What you should know. Part 1 from the Legal Action Center.
What are certificates of relief from disabilities and certificates of good conduct?
If you have a criminal record, there's a good chance you've been told, sorry, but due to your background check, we cannot hire you. New York laws might automatically bar you from getting a job like security guard or realtor, getting an occupational license, or serving as a juror. Automatically means you won't even be considered. These laws are just some of the barriers that keep people with criminal records from getting ahead. The good news is you can lower these barriers. Certificates of relief from disabilities and certificates of good conduct cancel the effects of laws that automatically bar you from certain jobs, serving as a juror, being a guardian of children, and more. With a certificate, you may apply for these opportunities and be considered. Other employers might like to see these certificates as well. It's New York State's way of saying, you've shown rehabilitation.
If I have a certificate, can employers still find out about my criminal convictions?
Yes. Certificates do not make your convictions disappear. They do not hide or expunge them or serve as a pardon. But employers and licensing agencies must consider your certificate when evaluating you for the job or license. They also have to consider good things you've done since your last offense, whether you were young at the time, and if the conviction is related to the work you are applying for.
What's the difference between the two certificates?
The main difference is you need a certificate of good conduct if you want to hold public office. Public office includes many law enforcement jobs and a few positions you might not expect, such as a local village building inspector.
How do I know which certificate to apply for?
Count your felony convictions, including federal and out-of-state convictions. If you have 2 or more felony convictions, or you plan to seek public office, apply for a certificate of good conduct. This one certificate will cover all of your convictions. If you have 1 or no felony conviction, apply for a certificate of relief from disabilities. These work differently. You will need one for each misdemeanor conviction you have, and if you have one, for your felony conviction too. Most people are mistaken about how many felony and misdemeanor convictions they have. To find out about your number of convictions, get a copy of your RAP sheet. RAP stands for Records of Arrest and Prosecutions. You can learn more about RAP sheets from other Legal Action Center materials.
I pled guilty to 2 felony convictions on the same date in the same court. Which certificate should I get?
A certificate of relief from disabilities. Convictions on the same date in the same court are considered just one felony conviction when applying for certificates.
Can I use my certificate in another state?
Probably not. Other states may not recognize a New York State certificate.
Now, these certificates essentially do and don't do very similar things. And which one you apply for is determined by the number and type of your convictions. Now, why apply for a certificate of relief or certificate of good conduct? Well, it gives you legal findings that you are reformed after a conviction. So having one of these certificates allows you to apply for certain jobs, licenses, public office, housing, or other rights that you lost when you were convicted. By state law, these certificates serve as a form of rehabilitation, and employers must take them into consideration when making hiring decisions. But having the certificate is not a guarantee that you will get the job or your occupational license will be granted. And these certificates do not seal or expunge your record. You still must report the convictions, if asked, after having received a conditional job offer. Now, how do you apply? Well, we are going to watch this short clip of part 2 from the Legal Action Center to explain.
Certificates of Relief and Good Conduct. What you should know, part 2 from the Legal Action Center.
How do I apply for a certificate of good conduct or a certificate of relief from disabilities?
If you're on parole, it's straightforward. Apply through your parole officer.
What if I'm not on parole?
It depends on which certificate you need and your situation. If you want a certificate of good conduct, apply to the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, also called DOCS. If you want a certificate of relief from disabilities, you should also apply to DOCS if you served prison time for your conviction or your conviction is federal or from outside of New York State.
How do I apply to DOCS?
Print the application from their website or call their office to ask for a copy by mail. After filling out the form and mailing it to DOCS, you will be assigned a parole officer to oversee your application. Don't worry, you're not being placed on parole. The parole officer will review your application, look at your employment and tax history, meet with you, and then make a recommendation to DOCS. DOCS will make the final decision.
How do I apply for a certificate of relief from disabilities for my New York State conviction if I didn't serve prison time?
Apply through the court where you were convicted. Ask the court clerk for an application and for information about the process. A probation officer will review your application, meet with you, and make a recommendation to the court. The court will make the final decision.
How can I improve my chances of getting either certificate?
You don't need these materials, but it can help to write a personal statement about the positive changes you've made since your conviction, show certificates from programs you've attended, such as job training, get letters of support from employers, counselors, and others, provide school transcripts.
Do I have to pay to apply for a certificate?
No, it's free to apply.
When can I apply for a certificate of relief from disabilities?
Anytime. There's no waiting period for certificates of relief.
When can I apply for a certificate of good conduct?
3 to 5 years, depending on your highest level felony conviction.
3 to 5 years seems like forever. Is there any way around that?
Unfortunately not. DOCS is strict about all waiting periods, but you can start gathering evidence of rehabilitation and apply for jobs that don't require a certificate.
How long will my certificate application take?
Applications to a court can take only 6 weeks, but sometimes take more than a year. Applications to DOCS usually take 6 to 9 months. If you have an out-of-state or federal conviction, your application may take even longer. The more information you give DOCS about your convictions, the faster your application will process.
So, are you eligible for a certificate of relief from disabilities? Well, you are eligible if you have been convicted of no more than one felony. There is no maximum on the number of misdemeanor convictions you can have. Now, each certificate of relief from disabilities covers one conviction. If you have more than one conviction, you need to apply for a separate certificate for each conviction. And there is no waiting period. If you are going to lose employment license or public housing because of your conviction, you can ask for a certificate of relief from disabilities at your sentencing. Now, who can issue it to you? The judge at your sentencing. Or after sentencing, if there's been no state prison time issued, you can apply to the court that sentenced you. And after sentencing, if the state prison time was issued, after your release, apply to the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Certificate of Good Conduct. Are you eligible? Well, you are eligible if you have been convicted of more than one felony and any number of misdemeanor convictions. There is no minimum or maximum. Now, how long do you have to wait? This depends on your highest level of conviction. The waiting period starts from the last time you got out of prison, onto parole or maxed out, or the date of your last conviction if you didn't get state prison time, whichever was last. So for Class A and B felonies is 5 years, Class C, D, and E felonies is 3 years, and misdemeanors is 1 year. And who can issue this to you? Well, you can apply to the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Talk to your parole officer. It's also really important to note that we have workforce development team members who can help you apply for either certificate. If you are interested in more information, please speak to your instructor who can connect you with the right person. Congratulations! You have successfully completed this video for Lesson 7, Part 2. To finish this lesson and get credit for this session, please return to the Google Classroom classwork page and take Lesson 7, Part 2 assessment, Certificates of Relief and Good Conduct quiz. Good luck!